freedom,
family,
world unity.
All these things and more will be discussed on this podcast.
Real stories, real people, real debates. On this podcast, we like to express our freedoms and talk about anything and everything goes.
Like freedom, family is important to us, and anybody that is listening, watching, or coming on the show as a guest star are all considered part of the greatest family to ever bless the solar system, the human race. No matter who you are, where you come from, you will always have a voice here on this podcast.
We like to flex our First Amendment, where all speeches and opinions are accepted for the right of freedom of speech. We have a saying we like to live by. Live life with eyes wide open. Being open-minded leads to true understanding of the world as it really is. Please, come, join us, and enjoy this experience as we embark on this journey of truth as we dismantle the subjective truth. I'm your host, Nick.
And I'm your co-host, Victoria.
And you're experiencing Heye Consciousness.
Disclaimer. Any and all information on topics presented are to the best of all who is present in each episode's knowledge. The goal of this podcast is to bring people together and set the example we all wish to see in our everyday lives. Whether it's home life, education, politics, history, business, etc. Any and all subjects can and will be talked and peacefully debated about on this podcast. On debate episodes, there will be a set rules of debate that hosts and guests alike must follow. We ask that you, the audience, like we ask of our guests, in the comments to please try to keep the language as clean as possible. We are a podcast for entertainment as well as educational purposes. Here, we are all equal no matter what race, age, or gender. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
Hi, y'all.
Hi, y'all.
Welcome to Heye Consciousness. I'm your host, Nick.
And I'm Victoria.
And we're
Heye Consciousness. Welcome to today's episode. Today's episode is Chapter 2 of The Secret Destiny of America. And today, Nick is going to be reading Chapter 2 for you.
Yep. So, forgive me if I slaughter a few words there and my pronunciations might be unclear, but I will try to be good on my reading. But anyways, so
let's get into it.
Let's have a recap about the last episode. About how what the first episode talked about with how America needs to take the first step in leadership and how we need to basically establish ourselves in a way that
we need to establish a vision for ourselves and for our nation.
Yes, and that's pretty much where Chapter 2 is going to start off with the world's first Democrat.
Oh, and notably, it said that we needed to get rid of, dictatorship-like kind of regimes or laws or reigns, however you want to call it. We need to get political bias out. We need to see the whole
big picture. Not just listen to one side and the other side and deem the other side evil and the other side do the same thing. No. We both need to come together and become one big happy family in a sense. Because
to put it in a simple way.
To put a cookie in a cookie jar.
Pretty much.
We all gotta get along with each other because at the end of the day we got each other. Not the people that are running that we think that not the elites, no, that the actual people that we see every day. We cannot let things divide us. It's basically what Chapter 1 was describing as. So we gotta get past that part.
And that we have evolved, even in 1944 when this book was written, we've evolved past the need for wars and all these, horrible things like, the trafficking and fighting and having to intervene here and there. Like, we as a human species all across the world have evolved to a point where we don't need wars anymore. And Chapter 1 made that very clear.
But any further ado, we're going to learn about the world's first Democrat. And he wasn't American. He was not.
Nope.
He was actually an Egyptian.
Yep.
Akhenaten. is who we're going to be reading about. The leader who had the first social consciousness in the administration of a nation was a pharaoh of Egypt, Akhenaten. Born several thousand years too soon, he was the first realist in democracy, the first humanitarian, the first internationalist. He saw that the duty of the ruler is to protect for all the rights to live well, to think, to dream, to hope, and to aspire. For his dream of the brotherhood of man, he cheerfully gave his life. So that should give you a very good distinct
idea what this chapter is about to be like. Or what this character Akhenaten is.
Yeah, it's about to say not only this chapter, but this character is. Because that's a lot of firsts. The first humanitarian, the first realist in democracy, like actually believed in equal rights in everybody. Mm-hmm. And this is like in Pharaoh times of Egypt, like probably 10,000 years ago. Maybe, no, probably like 2,000 years ago. If you really want to look into Akhenaten. Man has passed out of the state of savagery and become a civilized creature. With the development of social consciousness, civilization is a collective state in our collective type of life. The isolationist is a detrimental to himself.
The isolationist is a detriment to himself.
And a menace to all others. So those who basically keep to themselves and like learn new things and just don't really want to spread their knowledge but keep it to themselves and only give it to a select few, those are what's going on in America. Everyone that's being selfish, that's being detrimental to everybody. Because at the end of the day, everybody will have to pay.
Yeah. Fair enough to say.
Yeah, well, pretty much.
Honestly.
There is a great difference between isolationism and intellectualism. Development of the mind releases the individual from mob psychology, but it does not set him apart from the common responsibilities of his kind. A true thinker becomes a force for good within the group life. If his intellectual powers lure him away from the practical problems and values of his world, he can no longer make his contribution to the social unity. So basically what that's saying is that there is a great difference between isolating yourself and not by isolating yourself. I mean by learning a whole bunch of new things and keeping it to yourself. And that like things that will benefit you, and you know it can benefit others, but you don't want them to benefit others, but only select a few. That's what that isolationism is. That's what I cannot talk today. Excuse me, y'all.
Intellectualism.
It's someone that's open to spread his knowledge and his good deeds and everything else and good fortune and benefits if he thinks it's going to benefit the other person too.
Kind of like what we're doing right now, you know? We're
spreading
a couple
the word
of, intellectuals, and we decided, that it would be a good idea to, spread the word to, everybody in the world and anybody that we can reach, of the knowledge that we know and that we have, and give y'all the resources so that you can do the work yourself and, come up with your own conclusion upon your own research. And we're just here to give you, a little helping hand, a nudge, sharing the wealth of the information. Because one thing that we really have learned is that knowledge is
power.
Knowledge is power, but it is like the most precious and priceless thing that you can have in your back pocket, or just something that is of yourself in general.
I mean, think about every single action movie, whatever.
Knowledge is wealth, and we all know wealth is power. So so knowledge is wealth is knowledge, and
it all goes
knowledge
hand
is
in
power.
hand.
So it all goes hand in hand. Power of three right there. which will, when we get into the Emerald Tablets and stuff later, there is a chapter in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth that we have that talks about the power of 3. So when we get there, so there's your little cookie crumb in case you want to, go explore that yourself. And then come back or whatever, or keep watching, till we get there to give you our insight, our perspective on that kind of thing as well. So stick around, stay tuned.
Political, and continuing on with chapter 2. Political reforms are not accomplished by the people, but through the people. Let's say that again. Political reforms are not accomplished by the people, but through the people.
Which means it begins with us, the people of the nation.
We gotta be willing to do the changes and make sure that our representative knows that we actually mean what business. We say, we actually mean what we say. Exactly.
Yeah, we mean business. We put you in that position, in Congress or Senate, or all the way to the high up, the president. That is us, the people, putting you there so that you are there representing us, our word, our needs, and making sure that our demands or our needs as a nation and as a people of a nation are met.
Behind all, and so anyways, but yes, I agree with you. I agree with you there, and I had something to say, but honestly, I had the train went off the little railroad tracks a little bit. And I was back on the railroad tracks.
Sorry.
You're good. But anyways, that's basically what we're trying to get at, is that you want political reforms, it has to happen with us. We got to cure this mind virus that we have of what's extremist and not extremist, what's a fascist and not a fascist. We need to work on this mind virus that we have with each other and really just recognize what everything all this all of it means. We the people have to get ourselves out of this hole.
And the best thing that we can do is by arming ourselves with as much knowledge as we can possibly get our hands on, and that is knowledge that applies to both sides of the aisle and right down the middle as well. Because if we only look here or there and, don't decide to look on the other side, whether it's over here or over there, then we are hurting ourselves, and it's a detriment to anyone that would call, themselves, educated or intellectual if they're only looking at this one side and absolutely refuse anything from the other side or to take it to consideration. Then you're hurting yourself. Mm-hmm. You're blocking yourself from information that could possibly help you understand something on a deeper or a better level, so that way you have a clearer picture. Because everything and every decision that we make right now, as individuals of a nation, whether we are young, middle-aged, or old, it is our solemn duty that, it starts with us. We want reform, we have to educate ourselves. And that means, educating ourselves on the left, the right, and the middle. That means educating ourselves on what our laws and legislations and what the regulations are. We have to do the work ourselves. If it means so much to us, then we need to do the work, educate ourselves, because not everybody out there is going to, be willing to help you. So it really is you. You have to take that initiative. Mm-hmm. We, the American people, or we as a people of the world, have to take the initiative to educate ourselves, really think hard and long about how we want things to be reformed, and make our voices heard, and make those in government know that we mean business, because that's what they're for. They're not there because they put themselves there. Oh no, they're there because we the people put them there. Again, I say, we the people put them there. We the people are the voice. We the people are the power.
Mm-hmm. But anyways, back to chapter 2. Behind all collective progress stands the enlightened individual's leadership His superiority does not free him from common responsibilities. His is the obligations to assume the greater burden of directing his vision to the well-being of all his people. So you want me to read that for you?
Yeah, reread that one more time.
Okay. Behind all collective progress stands the enlightened individual leadership. His superiority does not free him from common responsibility. His is the obligation to assume the greater burden of directing his vision to the well-being of all his people.
There you go. So even back then, Mr. Akhenaten there, the pharaoh, recognized that, well, back in the day, I mean, they were kind of like there, but he was born into the role, but he wanted to make sure that he didn't just have it by birthright, but that he had it through the minds and the hearts of the people that he reigned over.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Which is a very beautiful thing. I mean, that's exactly how every leader should be, whether we elect them or whether they're born into the role because they are royalty. They should always be considerate and remember that they are there because we are here.
Something you'll hear in a fantasy story, where there's always a kind-hearted, good-hearted king that understands the people and does everything for the people, and in return the people does everything for the king.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's who was apparently Akhenaten was. He was the first of this kind, the first of his, like the book says, a man that was born several thousand years before his time.
Yeah.
With his ideas and everything he came across, but like we said in the last chapter, everything comes in with the idea of everything starts with an idea.
Mm-hmm. You can kill a man. But you cannot kill an idea.
Mm-hmm.
V for Vendetta.
Let us see how this works. We'll go back to ancient times. Akhenaten, Pharaoh of Egypt, throned under the title Amenhotep IV, is often referred to as the first civilized human being. While this may not be literally true, he was definitely the first man in recorded history to amplify social consciousness in the administration of a great nation. Akhenaten, the beloved child of the Atan, was born at Thebes about 1388 BC. Like most of the princes of his house, he was extremely delicate as a child, and it was feared that he would not live to reach the throne. As the last of his line, the dynasty would end with him if he died without issue. For this reason, he was married to his 12th year. He was married in his 12th year, so he was married at 12, to a 10-year-old girl, to a 10-year-old Egyptian girl of noble birth named Nefertiti. Nefertiti.
Oh, wow. I knew about Nefertiti, but I didn't know that Akhenaten was her husband. That's... wow.
During the childhood of the young king, the queen mother, Tai... about...
It's T-I-Y, babe.
Hey.
There's
no other T?
There's no other T in there.
Look. Welcome to Heye Conciousness, alright? Queen
Titty.
Queen Mother Tai, ruled as regent.
I'm sorry. You tried so hard not to do it. Oh my god, but you still did it. You tried so hard.
Yeah, yep.
You tried so hard and got so far.
And I'm gonna do it again too.
In the end, it didn't matter.
I'm gonna do it again too. Oh, hell.
Oh, my
But
goodness.
anyway.
Oh, my goodness.
You need drink of water?
Yeah,
You need some water?
I need some water. I need some milk.
I was about to say that next.
Your minds think alike. I'm going to drink more water now.
Mm-hmm. Don't snort it. Okay.
Oh, just read.
Are we just? Oh, are we doing the drinking water challenge now?
No.
Are you sure?
No, when there's a computer in front of me, no.
I hope not. Okay. During the childhood of the young king, the Queen Mother Heye ruled as regent of the Double Empire. She is believed to have been of Saranian origin.
Where are you at?
Right here. Where?
Yeah, Serenian.
Saranian origin, which would account for the many strange and un-Egyptian ideas in religion, government, and art, which were developed during the reign of Akhenaten. Queen Heye, brilliant and compatible, have recognized...
Capable.
Brilliant and capable, had recognized before her son reached his maturity that in him were qualities more divine than human. The son became the actual ruler of his country in his 18th year. His reign extended for 17 years.
So
he lived about, he turned 18, so 35.
He lived to be
35.
like 35.
30. 18 plus 17.
Which, in that time, not a lot of people got to live, to 35. So, that was pretty impressive in his time.
Mm-hmm. Well, still getting on his count, he was a real fragile body baby and child, and he had to be be married at the age of 12.
Just to make sure,
the throne was secure in the dynasty. It's ancient times, so
yeah,
it does all make sense. But his mother, though, Queen Heye, she was from another country, so she actually maybe was the first one to develop multicultures in the same environment and not having to be so tribal.
From Syria.
Yeah, Syria.
Yeah, because it says Syrian descent.
Yeah.
Which means from Syria.
Of course.
Just in case y'all didn't know.
I'm pretty sure most people.
I'm pretty sure most people know, but hey, you never know. Some people don't know geography like that.
Anyway, Akhenaten had been ruler of Egypt about only 2 years when he opposed his will to the princehood of Amun-Ra by attacking the oldest and most firmly established of all Egyptian institutions. The young pharaoh created legions of enemies and brought down upon himself the wrath of the religion of the state. He could scarcely have chosen a surer way of complicating the problems of his life. So this man went up and attacked the head high priest of Amun-Ra. Went up to the church and basically said, we're changing everything. I am king. I'm taking over. We're not doing these multi-gods, none of that stuff. And that's like someone going up to the church.
Wait a minute. Then...
I mean, that's...
Then what... Wait a minute. Then wouldn't... But it says that he had daughters. That kind of sounds like... It kind of sounds like, King Tut's father? Yeah. King Tut's father. King Tut's father, as we know from history, apparently,
look it up.
He reestablished the multi-god Egyptian religion that was of his grandfather's before his father came into power and tried to establish the one God, the monotheistic God system where God was the sun and everything else, the literal sun. Kind of like Ra, but not, it's just Ra in his... To put it in a way, it would be just Ra as the sun is the only God, and there is no other sub-gods that we need to worship. Belches da-da-da. Kind of thing. That's what King Tut's dad did. It just sounds very familiar. Now, whether that is the relation or not, I am not sure. But it just sounds like a very familiar story.
Akhenaten, King Tut. No. Well, he was born in 1388. Look up on your phone and see what when.
No, we can just look it up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Look it up and see what year.
So we gotta go desktop view.
Excuse us, y'all. Yep, let's just go over here real quick. Don't mind that. When was King Tut born, or who was King Tut's father? One of the two.
Yeah. Who was King Tut's diddy?
Akhenaten. Wheat and wheat.
Well.
For the Atan. That's it.
Oh, buddy.
Well, there you go. Full cycle.
Full circle.
So Akhenaten.
Wow. I totally made a guess. Like, I did not. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, y'all. I just needed a second. I needed a second to process that for a minute. Wow. I was like, ooh, this sounds like a familiar stuff. Wow. Just wow.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, me. Hey, sometimes you gotta give yourself a pat on the back.
You do. So Akhenaten made very big foes against the priests, against his religion. In the midst of his conflict, he proclaimed a new spiritual dispensation, and to escape his enemies, built a new. So that's what's dispensation, right? Because it's fucking.
In the midst of the conflict, he proclaimed a new spiritual dispensation.
Dispensation, okay.
Yeah, that's a tough
Dispensation, and to escape his enemies, built a new capital city, 160 miles up the Nile from Cairo. His new faith was Atonism. Atonism. Well,
Atonism.
Well, it's because
Atonism.
Because the book is written in 1944, so they put an O where the E was, where y'all saw it at, where you saw Akhenaten's name. There's even the Aten, it's spelled Aton, which is Aton, and today they spell it Aten. So this book has definitely set me up for slaughtering words.
I mean, this is probably, what the actual, name of it was before, after so many, translations and whatnot, it's gotten lost. So, with this being 1944, then it's probably spelled right.
Probably.
Atonism. Aton. T-O-N.
That makes sense. And so continue on. His new face was Atonism, and he named his city Ku-Itan.
Yeah. Ku-Itan.
Ku-Itan.
Yep.
Ku-Itan, meaning the horizon of the Atan, and dedicated the city with these words.
Hi, sorry y'all. Welcome back. We had some technical difficulties there for a second, so now we're back. So let's go back to it. Why don't you reread that?
Well, he said what he said about dedicate to the city and these
dedicate the city
with these words.
Dedicate the city with these words.
Yep. So this is the words that Akhenaten dedicated to his new city. Ye behold the city of the Atan, which the Atan has desired me to make for him as a monument, in the great name of my majesty, forever it was Atan, my father, that brought me to this city of the horizon. As high priest of his new religion, Amenhotep IV changed his name to
Amenhotep
IV. Amenhotep IV changed his name to Akhenaten because the older name included the word Amen, whose faith he had rejected. Charles F. Potter, in his History of Religion, says of Akhenaten that he was the first pacifist, the first realist, the first monotheist, the first Democrat, the first heretic, the first humanitarian, the first internationalist, and the first person known to attempt to found a religion. He was born out of due time, several thousand years too soon.
Wow, that's a whole lot of things. Let's see.
That's a whole lot of firsts.
What does Charles F. Potter say about him again? Let's see. First, read it off again.
The first pacifist, the first realist, the first monotheist, the first Democrat, the first heretic, the first humanitarian, the first internationalist, and the first person known to attempt to found a religion.
8. And that religion, ironically enough, was Christianity itself.
The origins of it.
The origins of it, but still, like, it's...
The idea of one God. We should clarify on that. The idea of one God.
It came from him.
Yes.
Of one God, one source of all creation. It came from Egypt. Like, we all knew that, but now, like...
There's more light onto that mystery.
It shines quite a big light on that. Like, wow. Mm-hmm. That's pretty incredible, honestly.
Yes, it is.
Like, we're not trying to dismantle religion or anything here. Like, we are literally going through this book and just logically making
sense.
Conclusions and just trying to make logical sense of the information that is presented in front of us.
Right. So, from his 26th year to his 31st year, Akhenaten devoted his life to the perfection of his mythical doctrine in the city which he had built for the ever-living God. Here he taught the mystery of the Divine Father, and wrote the simple and beautiful poems which have endured and survived time. To Akhenaten, God was not a mighty warrior ruling over Egypt, speaking through the oracles of his priests. He was not a supreme being, flying through the air in a war chariot, leading armies of destruction. Aten was the gentle father who loved all his children of every race and nation, and desired for them that they should live together in peace and comradeship. So,
that's the entire foundation of Christianity itself, the very root of it.
26 years old.
He was 26. As old as kind of we are.
Now he devoted his life to the perfection of his mythical doctrine in the city.
And the city, yeah.
Because he also spread his knowledge too. That's another thing. He spread and not just coherently just show
kept it all to himself. He tried to spread it with everybody.
Well, he spread it among everybody, and he didn't supplemental it neither. Like, I'm going to say something from this because it seems right in the time of day to say that. He just gave it all,
at once.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he didn't supplement it. I think that's what you said?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Supplement?
Yeah,
okay,
that's what I said. Even more, God, the Aten, had created all the lesser creatures, whether birds that nested in the papyrus reeds along the papyrus reeds along the banks.
That's a hard word to say. Papyrus.
Yeah, say that 3 times fast.
Papyrus.
Yeah. Papyrus. Pirates.
And I have a country accent too, so it's like that doesn't help.
Along the banks of the Nile, or dragonflies with many colored wings that hovered over quiet pools and the lotus blooms. The Aten was the father of all beasts and fishes and flowers and insects. He had fashioned them in his wisdom and preserved them with his love and tenderness. So basically saying that he created all the lesser beings.
He created everything and he created it equally.
Mm-hmm.
And just
preserved them in his own wisdoms. Each animal had his own wisdoms. Akhenaten seated in
each animal has their own wisdoms.
Yeah, that's what he's basically saying. That
And recently scientists just like I read, I don't remember, I think it was like IFA Science maybe, but it was an article on how scientists are now figuring out that we should not underestimate the consciousness of animals, and that they are way more conscious, and so are plants. They are way more conscious than we initially believed.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, even 1944, right there, boom! And, this is not just 1944, but that's, like, thousands and thousands of years in the past, before Christ. Where he was saying that, that all the animals had their own consciousness, they had their own wisdoms.
Yeah.
That's pretty freaking cool, honestly. So, like, we're just that's why it's called research, because we're just rediscovering what our ancestors already knew.
Exactly.
But where did that information go that we had to research it again?
Into the wrong hands, clearly, because someone has been keeping the knowledge to themselves and not spreading the word. But anyways, that's neither here nor there right now. Let's continue on.
Yeah, let's continue in the book. Sorry, y'all.
Akhenaten, seated in the garden of his seated in the garden of his palace, spent many hours watching the flights of birds and listening to the voices of little creatures. He tells us that he found the Aton in all of them, and that his heart went out to them, and he gave thanks for the goodness in everything that lived. This was a pharaoh who traveled alone through the countryside, meeting the peasants, conversating with slaves, and sharing the simple food of the poor. To the most ignorant man, he listened with profound respect, for in each of his subjects, excuse me, y'all, he saw and found the life of the Aton. He saw the universal God shining through the eyes of little children, beheld the beauty of the Aton in the bodies of the men who worked in the fields. He could not understand why others did not see God in everything as he did. Like most of the great religious leaders, Akhenaten accepted the social problem of life as part of religion. He could not accept the inequalities of birth, wealth, or physical estates as a justification for men's persecuting each other, or exploiting one another. He saw every living thing having a divine right, a right to live well, to think, to dream, to hope, and to aspire. He saw in the duty of the ruler to protect his beauty in the hearts of his people, to nourish it, and to give every possible opportunity for its expression and perfection. That is a lot to take in. But this man would really go off to countrysides, talk to the peasants,
talk to the most ignorant men, and give them
the highest
respect. Even though, like, he was the king, and in their ignorance, they might have been, very disrespectful towards him, probably. Especially if it was a man that was still, still attached to the old Egyptian
ways and ties.
Old Egyptian ways and the multi-gods instead of the idea of the monotheistic God. He still treated them with respect. Like, that's exactly what we all should do. We should all be kind to each other and see each other not as black or white or Mexican or Chinese or Japanese or Russian or Ukrainian or Israelite or Arab. It doesn't matter. Because the thing that we all have in common, like we say in our intro, we're all one race. And what race is that?
The human race.
We're all human. We're all human.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm pretty sure if you painted me any other color, I would still bleed red. I still have a heart. I still have one mind. I still have 2 eyes, 2 ears, a nose, a mouth, 10 fingers, 10 toes. Some people are not born with all that, but, if you cut us all, we all bleed red. We all have veins. We all have
a heart and a soul.
A heart, a soul, and lungs. You know, there's nothing different about me underneath my skin that is different from you. And that's where true unity really comes into play.
And Akhenaten understood that. Anyway, religious intolerance was impossible. Religious intolerance was impossible among those who worship the Atan. And there is no room for political intolerance in a world governed by the laws of brotherly love. Each man became the protector and comforter of all other men, cherishing the dreams of others equally with his own. In his personal life, Akhenaten emerges as the first man in history to bring dignity and gentle beauty to the management of his home. He was the father of 7 daughters to whom he was completely devoted in his speeches and public pronouncements. He always referred to Queen Nefertiti as my beloved wife.
Oh, that's so sweet.
It was usual for the pharaohs to call themselves to be. It was usual for the pharaohs to cause themselves to be depicted in great stone carvings upon the walls of their palaces. They were represented as majestic figures, crowned and sculpted. They were shown either seated on their thrones and wielding their weapons against their foes. Akhenaten was the only pharaoh in the history of Egypt who chose to be depicted with his arms about his wife and his daughters playing about and seated on his lap. As the passing years, the health of the pharaoh grew worse. The opposition of the priesthood of Amun-Ra grew greater, and his reign was complicated by invasions by the Hittite nations. The governors of various provinces pleaded with him for help, but Akhenaten would not send armies. The dreamer king saw his lands pillaged and his cities conquered, but he would not kill his enemies. They too were children of the Atan. Akhenaten, in his 36th year, at the altar of the Atan in the temple of the faith he had created, with his mummy casting was found. The following prayer to the Atan was discovered and inscribed on golden foil beneath his feet. And it read, I breathe the sweet breath which comes forth from thy mouth. I behold thy beauty every day. Give me thy hands, holding thy spirit. May I receive it, and may be lifted by it. Call thou upon my name, unto eternity, and it shall never fail. In the words of the great Egyptologist, Professor Breasted, there died with him such a spirit as the world would have never seen before. Akhenaten was the first man in history who dared to dream of the brotherhood of men, and he cheerfully gave his life and his empire for that dream. He is indeed the beautiful child of the living Atan, whose name shall live forever and ever.
And that's the end of chapter 2. Wow. So, even back then, like, Akhenaten, he didn't believe in, war, it looked like, because even he saw, his god, the living Atan in his enemies as well. He saw even his rivals as his fellow humans.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
They were all children under
the Atan.
Under the Atan, which is exactly what the Bible, the Quran, and the Torah teach.
Mm-hmm. That we're all equal and we're all part of one giant plan, and there is evil out there.
Yeah, of course, and it states plenty about that. But the one way that we can, truly move on into a more enlightened era and consciousness is that we all have to see that there is no need for wars and bloodshed anymore and going to war with your neighbors. If anything, we are evolved to the point where we should be able to see each other as fellow humans, because we're all smart enough and wise enough and conscious enough to know this. We're not thinking in primitive ways.
No, not
anymore,
by no means.
By no means. And I'm sorry for anyone that takes offense to this, but, even back in the 50s, we were still kind of primitive thinking. There was a lot of, very odd ways of thinking that were not ethical or humanitarian in a lot of ways. And now we have rectified those things because we have seen the light, we have more wisdom, we have more knowledge, so that way we apply, that knowledge into power into being a better civilization, a better peoples. And we should apply this also with war. We shouldn't be going to war right now, not anywhere.
Or to be funding any war, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, we're not going to get into all that.
No.
We're just saying our piece.
Of course. But as for always, please hit the like and subscribe button.
And also, announcement! We have expanded to Rumble. So, you see us on YouTube, and you'll see us on Rumble as well. We've already hit a little bit of a rock somewhere along the way with a platform. So we're not going to name names, but we're going to be multi-platformed, so that way our information and our podcast gets out to you guys, and you guys can keep having access to it, and hopefully we can keep the stream going.
Yep.
So thank you guys. We love you, and thank you for all the support. We're going to continue pushing on through chapter 3. We're gonna push through till The Secret Destiny of America is all finished. And please leave your comments, leave your likes, subscribe, and share, because sharing is caring.
And chapter 3, just for y'all that are wondering, a little preview, is called Westward, Ocean Travel to the Earthly Paradise.
Ooh, interesting. Can't wait to get into that one. See you guys next time.
Y'all have a blessed day.